Chapter 13. With time growing short, tonight Emma and Cory reflect on their extraordinary journey and the profound lessons they've gathered from each ghostly passenger. As dawn approaches, they begin to understand their true purpose. The Christmas Express continued its journey through the inky night. For a moment, Emma and Cory sat in silence, leaning back into the soft cushions. They both stroked Pixie, who had curled up between them. Emma was about to speak when the train suddenly screeched to a halt. Cory bolted upright, shading his eyes as he peered out the window. The familiar mist heralding the arrival of a new ghostly passenger began to form outside their window. But something was different this time. The mist swirled and eddied, never fully coalescing into the solid wall they had come to expect. "Cory, look!" Emma whispered, her breath fogging the glass as she leaned closer. "It's struggling." In the swirling mist, a flickering, indistinct shape tried desperately to take form. It pulsed and wavered like a mirage in a desert storm, never quite achieving solidity. As they watched, transfixed, muffled sounds of distress reached their ears, a discordant mix of sobs, gasps, and unintelligible words. Cory's brow furrowed as he leaned forward, his voice tight with determination. "We need to help them." He slid open the compartment door, stepping out into the narrow corridor. The chill that enveloped him was immediate and bone-deep, far colder than any they had experienced before. Emma followed, with Pixie close at her heels. The little dog's ears plastered against her skull, her usual bouncy trot giving way to a timid paw-by-paw creep. "Hello?" Emma called out, her voice quavering slightly. "We're here to help. Can you tell us who you are?" The response came in fragments, broken words carried on the icy wind that now whipped through the train corridor. "Lost. So lost. Can't remember." Cory stepped forward, his hand outstretched as if to touch the mist. "It's okay," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "We've helped others before. Just try to focus on my voice. Tell us your story." As Cory spoke, the lights in the corridor flickered ominously. The rich, warm glow that had suffused the Christmas Express since the beginning of their journey dimmed, leaving shadows to creep in at the edges of their vision. Emma's sharp intake of breath echoed in the corridor as her eyes darted around, taking in their rapidly changing surroundings. The opulent decorations that had adorned the train were losing their luster before her eyes. Garlands of evergreen withered and browned, their needles dropping to the floor with soft patters. Strings of twinkling lights sputtered and went dark, one by one. "Cory," she breathed, gripping her brother's arm. "The train! It's losing its magic." As if in response to Emma's words, the Christmas Express shuddered violently. The siblings stumbled, bracing themselves against the walls as the train's movement became even more erratic. From somewhere deep within the engine, a high-pitched whine arose, followed by a series of alarming clanks and groans. Pixie whimpered, pressing herself against Emma's legs. The younger sibling reached down to scratch behind the dog's ears, a gesture as much for her own comfort as for Pixie's. "It's okay, girl," she murmured, though her voice lacked conviction. Cory's face was a mask of concentration as he turned back to the swirling mist. "Please," he said, his voice rising with urgency, "we want to help you, but you need to try harder. Focus on your strongest memory, something that defines who you are." The mist swirled faster, the indistinct shape within it pulsing with greater intensity. For a moment, it seemed as though it might finally take form. But then, with a sound like a sorrowful sigh, it dissipated, leaving only wisps of gray fog drifting in the air. The train lurched again, and this time the lights went out completely. In the sudden darkness, Emma couldn't hold back a small cry of fear. Cory fumbled for her hand, gripping it tightly. "It's going to be okay," he said, but the tremor in his voice betrayed his own uncertainty. "We'll figure this out. We have to." As their eyes adjusted to the gloom, the true extent of the change became apparent. The once vibrant Christmas Express now seemed faded and worn, its colors muted and its surfaces dulled. It was as if the very life was draining out of the magical train, leaving behind only a shell of its former glory. Emma's lip trembled as she looked around, taking in the withered decorations and flickering lights. "Cory," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. What if we've broken it? What if we've ruined the Christmas Express forever?" The weight of their situation crashed down upon them, and with it came a wave of despair that threatened to overwhelm them both. As they stood there in the dimly lit corridor, the ghostly mist dissipating around them, Emma and Cory faced their greatest challenge yet. Not just to help a lost soul, but to save the very magic that had brought them on this journey. The Christmas Express, once a beacon of hope and wonder, now seemed as lost and faded as the ghost they had failed to help. And as the siblings clung to each other in the growing darkness, they couldn't help but wonder, had they reached the end of their magical journey? Or was this simply the darkest hour before the dawn? A thick blanket of silence smothered the train, punctuated only by the mournful creak of cooling metal and Pixie's soft, plaintive whimpers. Emma's legs gave way beneath her, and she crumpled to the floor, her back sliding against the now faded wallpaper. She buried her face in her hands, her fingers trembling against her cheeks. "I can't do this anymore, Cory," she whispered, her voice tiny and fragile. "We couldn't help that ghost. We're trapped here, and the train is falling apart. What if we never see Mom and Matthew again? What if we're stuck in this limbo forever?" Cory's restless pacing came to an abrupt halt. His shoulders sagged, the weight of their situation visibly crushing his facade of confidence. He slid down the wall, the rough texture of the faded paper catching at his sweater, until he sat shoulder to shoulder with Emma. "I'm scared too, Em," he admitted, his words barely louder than a breath. "I thought I knew what we were doing, but now I don't have a clue. I'm sorry I pushed so hard. I should have listened to your concerns earlier." Emma lifted her head. surprised by her brother's vulnerability. She had never seen Cory so uncertain, so lost. It was both terrifying and oddly comforting, like finding a familiar teddy bear in a dark, unfamiliar room. "What if we've changed history?" Cory continued, his gaze fixed on the shadows dancing at the far end of the corridor. "All those ghosts we helped, did we really make a difference? Or have we just been meddling with things we don't understand?" Emma's mind wandered back through their journey, each memory as vivid as a painting coming to life. She saw the Civil War soldier's face, etched with newfound peace, felt the suffragettes' fingers curl into determined fists, heard the Depression-era farmer's boots scrape against the drought-hardened soil as he stood tall. The World War II nurse's tear-filled eyes flashed before her, followed by the urgent, passionate words of the environmental scientist from the future. Maybe it was all just an elaborate lesson, Emma mused, her voice hollow as an empty glass. Maybe the ghosts only existed here, on this train. What if we haven't changed anything in the real world at all? Cory ran his hands through his hair, his fingers catching on tangled strands. "I don't know, Em. I just don't know. But I can't shake the feeling that we failed. That ghost, we couldn't even help them materialize. What if they're trapped now? Because of us?" The weight of responsibility settled over them like a heavy quilt, smothering rather than comforting. The once magical journey now felt like an impossible burden, as if they were Atlas, tasked with holding up the sky. As the siblings sat in despairing silence, Pixie stirred. The little dog had been unusually quiet. Her exuberance dimmed along with the train's magic. But now she padded over to Emma and Cory, her paws making soft thumping sounds on the worn carpet. Her eyes shone with an inner light that seemed to defy the gloom around them like stars piercing through storm clouds. Though her telepathic communication had weakened with the train's fading magic, Pixie managed to project a clear thought into their minds. "Remember." Emma and Cory exchanged confused glances, their brows furrowing in unison. "Remember what, Pixie?" Emma asked, reaching out to stroke the dog's silky ears, finding comfort in the familiar texture. Pixie's response burst into their minds like a kaleidoscope of memories, each image as crisp and vivid as if they were reliving the moments. They saw Private William Anderson's face as he finally found peace, his translucent form seeming to glow from within. They felt Elizabeth Blackwell's renewed determination to fight for women's rights, her spectral hand clenched in a fist of resolve. John Hawkins' weathered hands gripped his hat as he stood tall, ready to face the challenges of the Great Depression with newfound hope, his ghostly form straightening with pride. Anna Mitchell's eyes shone with tears of joy as she realized the impact of her work during World War II, her ethereal nurse's uniform crisp and proud. Dr. Amanda Chen's passionate plea for environmental action echoed in their ears, her futuristic attire shimmering with urgency. With each memory, a warm glow seemed to emanate from within Emma and Cory, pushing back the encroaching darkness like a sunrays chasing away the night. Pixie's voice, though faint as a whisper on the wind, resonated in their minds. This is the true spirit of Christmas you've witnessed: compassion, courage, hope, the power of small acts of kindness to change the world. As the memories flashed by, Emma and Cory began to see their journey in a new light, as if someone had wiped clean a foggy window. They hadn't just been passive observers or meddlers in history. They had been conduits for healing, vessels of hope, and catalysts for change. And we have changed too, Emma realized, her eyes widening like saucers. Cory, think about how we were when this journey began. How scared and unsure we were. How we bickered and doubted what we were doing here. Cory nodded slowly, a spark of understanding igniting in his eyes like a match being struck. And now look at us. We faced challenges we never could have imagined. We learned to work together, to trust each other, to believe in something bigger than ourselves, Emma added, a small smile tugging at the corners of her mouth like a shy sun peeking out from behind clouds. As their words hung in the air, a ripple of energy seemed to pulse through the train. The siblings felt it before they saw it, a subtle warmth, a whisper of renewal. The lights of the Christmas Express, which had dimmed to near darkness, flickered and grew slightly brighter, like fireflies waking from slumber. The withered garlands seemed to perk up, a hint of green returning to their needles, as if spring were slowly chasing away winter. Inspired by Pixie's reminder and the visible response of the train, Emma and Cory shared a look of renewed determination. "We are not going to give up," Cory said, rising to his feet and offering a hand to his sister. "That ghost still needs our help, and so does the Christmas Express." Emma took his hand, her grip firm and sure as she stood up with newfound resolve. "You're right. We've come too far to fail now. Whatever happens, we face it together." They turned towards the faint wisps of mist that still lingered in the corridor, swirling in crazy patterns. Joining hands, Emma and Cory closed their eyes, focusing all their energy on the lessons they had learned, the growth they had experienced, and the unbreakable bond between them. A warm glow began to emanate from their joined hands, growing brighter with each passing moment, like a star being born. The train responded to their renewed determination, its lights steadying and its movements becoming smoother, the rough jolts giving way to a gentle, rocking motion. Slowly, within the swirling mist, a shape began to take form, more solid than before, yet still indistinct. It pulsed with a rhythm that matched the siblings' heartbeats, like a visual echo of their determination. Emma and Cory opened their eyes, their breath catching in their throats as they saw the ghost beginning to materialize. They tightened their grip on each other's hands, their fingers interlacing, bracing themselves for whatever would come next. As the ghostly figure before them grew clearer, its edges sharpening like a photograph coming into focus, Emma and Cory stood firm. The fate of the struggling spirit, the magic of the Christmas Express, and perhaps the very nature of their journey hung in the balance, delicate as a soap bubble. With hearts full of hope and hands clasped in unity, they prepared to take the next step into the unknown, ready to write the next chapter of their magical adventure. Understanding dawns as our journey nears its end. Tomorrow, one final challenge awaits. Check out all of the other books in the Magical Papillon series of cozy mysteries on Amazon now.